everybody. I am Matt Valley, and welcome to episode number 151 of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the insights and analytics pros that you trust. I'm thrilled today to welcome my guest, Angelique Taylor, to the podcast. Now, Ange has a really amazing story. She spent a long time as a user experience and product researcher, insights consultant. And she confronted the problem that many of us confront, which is you've got this complex set of data. You need to turn it into something meaningful for your stakeholders. And there's all this ick in the middle, right? It's always been a challenging process in this space. I think Insights has always been kind of behind the times in terms of the tools. So she did the most awesome thing, which was in 2022. She started her own company. She created the platform and the tools that she needed in order to make that job really easy and really seamless. So she started a company called AddMaple. That's AddMaple, AddMaple. I've seen it myself. I have to tell you, it is truly a wow platform. It's one of the best and coolest tools that I've encountered in this space, I have to say. And I'm not just saying that, Ange, I must tell you. The way that it ingests and automatically organizes your data into something really intuitive and useful, intuitive from a researcher standpoint, and useful in a very short period of time is really quite incredible. It's a great tool. If you're not familiar with it, but let's say you are attending the IIEX conference in Washington, D.C. this week. Well, Ange is going to be there. And why is she going to be there? Because she is a finalist for the Insights Innovation Competition, one of 5 really cool companies. And so you can see it for yourself, see how it works. I wish you the best of luck, Ange. That's really cool. Congratulations on being a finalist. That's an accomplishment in and of itself. Now, one last thing before we get into it. So Ange and I met several months ago, and she casually mentioned, "Hey, I also dabble in music a little bit myself." I'm like, "Okay, that's really cool. Send me your stuff." And I have to tell you, I'm totally blown away. So Ange has been on the side, writing and producing her own like pop and electronic music. Now, her first video was produced 6 years ago. It's on YouTube she's got a few different aliases. I think this one is Mrs. Is that right? So like 6 years ago. Yeah, yeah. And it has 32,000 views. It should be 32 million because it is so pro level stuff. I mean, this should be a hit song. It's really something else. I mean, I was not worth it. I'm like, okay, forget what I said about me playing music. I don't play music. I'm not worthy. It's so good. It's just amazing. But we're going to talk about all that and more on today's podcast. So welcome to the show, Ange.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. You're so kind and you are very, very generous. Honestly. Thank you for even just listening to that song. Yeah, 6 years ago is a long time ago. And then for having me on your amazing podcast. You're such a respected and loved member of our community. So I'm just completely thrilled to get to talk to you and to get to chat about insights and, our space, a little corner of the world. So incredibly grateful. Thank you.
Very excited to have you. And thank you for the kind words. Now, I'm not just saying it about your music. I'm going to post a link, right? So people can judge for themselves and they're going to be like, wow, they're going to add it to their playlist like I have. So cool stuff.
Oh,
So
oh.
before we get into things, I really want to dig into what your career is all about because you actually didn't start at Insights, which is really exciting. But before we get into that, I do want to throw out a couple of shout outs. First, to our very, very good mutual friend, Susan Griffin, who introduced us once upon a time. Thank you so much for that, Susan. You're the best. Susan maintains an incredible group of friends, I must say. So she introduces me to all kinds of really cool people. And so I thank her for that. The other shout out I want to give is to my guy Graham Ford in the UK, who is the founder of Punk MRX. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't hired his company, or if you haven't joined, at very least, join the Punk MRX community on WhatsApp, then you really are missing out. This is the fun thing. I sent a shout out because I feel like I talk to Ange all the time because I see Ange on the WhatsApp community on a regular basis as I'm there, she's there. Lots of great people are there sharing all kinds of ideas in sort of free forum kind of way. It's been a tremendous addition to the conversation that's happening
Mhm.
in space at a really critical time. So thanks so much for facilitating that, Graham. You are a mensch, let me say. Good stuff. So, all right, Ange. So let's do it. So you didn't grow up thinking, hey, I'm gonna be a user experience researcher someday. You didn't start out there, did you?
No, no. I started off, so I did have a short stint working in social media, but all paths, well, this is very biased, but I do believe all paths eventually lead to insights. So I started off doing some, community social media management actually. And then I thought, oh, hang on. What are we going to tell these people? Who are these people? What are we doing? Why would they want to engage with our brand? So actually, that's where I started briefly. And I actually rewrote my job title myself because when I discovered user research, I was like, I, I'm done with this. I'm going to go into user research and I'll still do your social media. But I just fell in love with the concept of getting to understand the people who use something. It was something that I just wasn't aware of, that there are these people who spend most of their time trying to work out what the humans behind something need and the business need is, and then trying to build that bridge. And you mentioned Susan and Graham, and actually I think both of them are bridge builders. And I think that's kind of what a user researcher is too, in essence, is this building bridges between users. So my favorite people are bridge builders. So thank you, Susan and Graham, for building this bridge, which is why Matt and I get to talk. But honestly, I fell in love with with user research because it's such a beautiful role in the right organization because you get to spend time with different stakeholders that you wouldn't normally spend time with to say, what's on your mind? Where are you stuck? Because ultimately the business wants to grow and finding out from different people where they're stuck, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, you know, whether it's the product team, finding out where there might be issues and then getting to speak to the users to kind of find the needs, but more than the needs, because users don't always know what they want, but finding the as is landscape
Yeah.
and then working with your talented stakeholders to map out, well, how can we tackle this? I just loved the role. And then did get a little bit frustrated because I just wanted to understand so much more than I was, capable of. And at the time I remember the day that the dream was especially strong for AddMaple, I was given a data dump from a database, and I had to understand we had this campaign that we were going to reach out to a really broad age range of people, but via their addresses because it was a financial product. So it's not as if we could even have, you know, and I had to, with very limited data, try and work out, well, how are we going to reach these people? How are we going to communicate to them to let them know that all is well? This is just standard comms. We've just come, oh, so that's when I started thinking, gosh, there must be an easier way for me to safely, with data governance, meeting all the compliance checks, making everyone happy. There must be a way for me to access more data in a way that I can explore it and then feel more confident with the suggestions many suggestions that I'm making, that other people are making, but making the decision. So that's how I ended up thinking, gosh, data exploration in Excel just felt so slow. SPSS was tricky because even getting a license was difficult. And you know, anyway, so that's how it all started, but not from market research, as you say, not from yours, because I believe user research, and I think we're kind of opposite sides of the same coin. But
Yep.
yeah, yeah, and now love market research too.
Yeah. So at what point did you, because it's a big thing to then,
Mm,
yes, I'm going to do this. So
mm.
tell me about that decision for you to actually make the leap and become a founder.
Gosh, it was a big thing, and it was yeah, because also, everyone who sets off to do something independently has a lot of, pros and cons to weigh, as we all do. But I don't know, I feel quite lucky in that
Mhm.
because I worked in product and I'd worked with talented teams, I didn't feel daunted by, well, what if this isn't possible? The question of might this not be possible wasn't actually, as in terms of the product realizing, I kind of, that wasn't the thing. It was more, you know, will I be able to find the right people who need, my interpretation of data exploration, and I've worked with lots of talented people, so our interpretation of data exploration, because it is quite different. You don't start with loading the data and then pulling up a column and then another column and then choosing, is it row versus column, and then choosing the chart, and then
Right.
you know it's kind of, yeah, it is designed so that you just get your answers.
Yeah.
You link it, and then it gives you a chart and a table for everything so that you see your data immediately. But there are some people, I think, who might feel robbed from this because, there's also joy in the process for some people. So I'm kind of like weighing up, how can I make it more difficult? I think I need to make a AddMaple like a AddMaple difficult version, for because I have seen people's faces kind of go, oh, you've kind of done it all. So yeah, there is that pushback from some people, but the people who I suppose are more wired like me, where I was one of the people, I had far more data
Mm.
than I had time to explore. And there are some people who have far more data than they do exploration time. I feel like, sorry, it's my last thing, Matt, but I feel like all of us have a budget, a time budget. When
Right.
someone asks you to do something, they might not tell you, hey, Matt, please can I have this in 3 days? But in their mind, they have like an allocated time budget to the thing they're asking you to do.
Yeah.
And I just used to work with people who have really short time budgets. So I was constantly like, "Ah," you know,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I've got
Yeah.
to make sense of it ideally. And I used to work in the night. And yeah, yeah.
I for me, I know exactly what you're saying. Really experienced this when I was on the client side at what is now Thomson Reuters. If you get that time budget wrong in your head and you promise something, I remember sleeping under my desk. Don't tell my manager back then, but I did. I would sleep under my desk. I had toothpaste and a toothbrush there just in case I got caught. And yes, I did get caught sometimes. But the
Uh,
big challenge was um, my claim to fame in that organization is I was a primary researcher, but I was also very good at database analytics. So I was always kind of skirting those two lines. And so I had this whole map of different platforms that I would use, and I was constantly transforming data in different ways to put it into Access or Excel or our CRM system or our proprietary tool or SPSS. just to get the data in the form that I needed to do the analysis that I wanted. And that was like, I don't know, half of my job. Um,
Hmm.
and if something turned out to be more complex than you had anticipated, then you're sleeping under your desk. So
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I used to do, you know, not literally under my desk, but yeah, I used to set my alarm for, I won't say how early because it's embarrassing, but that's what I would have to do because you don't know until you get the data what you're dealing with. So it's yeah. That's why I wanted something that just show me what's in the data. First job you have is just show me what's in the data so I can then work out what I need to do from there. Because even just seeing what's in the data would take such a long time. And then you have to go back and get another run in a different way, a different table.
100%.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
we're gonna come back to that in a minute. Now let's talk. So, like I said, you said to me, it's like, oh, I dabble a little bit in music. Tell me about your journey there, because what you've produced is
Oh,
amazing stuff. So, and I know that you're still kind of active in it. So,
yes. So music has, I always say it's my first love. I, my husband is my second, but he's my second love. No, do you know, I grew up in South Africa. So South Africa is wonderful in that it- we're we're a rainbow nation and you perhaps because of all the different cultures and tribes you just appreciate people's interpretation of music. So I didn't really grow up with albums, but I had a woman called Maria who cared for me. Actually, her language was the first language I spoke. And I just remember being around her and those choir voices because she used to go to a church under a tree. And I loved Maria. Like I totally loved, like I don't know how to express. I loved Maria. And just being around her and she used to sing. Uh so she had an enormous influence on also, I suppose, how I interpret music through perhaps more listening, feeling, than perhaps other people might. I don't know. Um Yes, it started really, really young. And
I see what you're
uh,
saying about your music. It is very much about the feeling and kind of the place that it takes you. And
yeah,
feel about it rather than something that's just literal or just a simple pop song or something like that. I'm sorry, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
yeah, and when I started to learn to produce, I got so frustrated because you work in a digital audio workstation or a DAW. I don't know why they call it digital audio workstation. It's so wordy. Really, we need to change this. But and there's a grid, and the expectation is that you would, I suppose, stick to this grid. But early on when I started, I just did actually just turn it off. I did keep the metronome occasionally, but yeah, I'll send you some of my other unreleased things. But in essence, where did it start? Maria. Maria had such an influence on me, and the understanding that you don't actually even need an instrument, the human voice, because Maria would go to church. They wore these white garments, Maria and her church people, church attendees. Um, and it wasn't obviously in English or Afrikaans. It was in Southern Sotho. And but it was about the human voice. The human voice, even if it's in another language, can communicate meaning, can communicate emotion, even if you don't understand a word. Yeah, so that's where it started. And then sadly my parents got divorced and then I lost contact with Mary, which was very, very sad. And but then I did just after school, I would just whatever music my mum had, I would just binge on whatever I could get my hands on. Just to, I don't know, I think music was an escape, and that's just what I did. Sang and I my mum loved Celine Dion, so I remember trying to like just imitate. It was just trying to learn how to imitate the voice for the purpose of communication, because that's what it is. For the purpose of, so all my Jennifer Rush, my mum was into Neil Diamond, you know,
Ah,
that was, but that's yeah, Boney M, just all my mum's music is what I would just put on and just try and absorb, I guess, for the purpose of being able to add my twist, but to be able to communicate, by learning how they, communicate through the voice. Anyway, so that was my primary school. That, and I was terrible at sports. It was just mainly singing. Self-taught completely, but just through my mum's CDs.
it's going to be my question about self-taught because I guess if I had to come up with one word, if I think across like your pop song, "You Don't Speak for Us," and then your electronic music, which can be found on Spotify, right? Um, the word that comes to mind for me is atmospheric, right? It's got a vibe. There's a vibe. Um, there's clearly a message in "You Don't Speak for Us," right? But in terms of the sounds, there's a real vibe. And I get the sense that the voice is, it feels more like, rather than this being a vocal performance, the
Mm.
vocal is another instrument. It
Yeah,
is one instrument in the entire orchestration, right? That serves a role, in terms of its instrumentation rather than just the message. It's that's I don't know, kind of wordy, but it's sort of how I think about it. It's,
yeah, yeah.
it's I thought for sure that you had some professional vocal training because of the control that you've got of your voice. It's very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I did go for a 6-week course, which was lovely, with a lady called Sarah. When was that? When I moved to England, after I'd been in England for some time, I did go to a 6-week course, and that was very, very useful. If anyone listening is, a budding singer or enjoys singing, a little bit of technique did help. And honestly, because even if you're self-taught, there's things that someone who is a vocal coach can just help you with some of those transitions between your chest voice and your head voice, and also some warm-ups. Yeah. So yeah, I did, Sarah, I'm not leaving you out. Yes, but it was, it wasn't as if she had like this raw material to work with, bless her.
Cool. So is this for you? Is music, like you mentioned, it's an escape? Does the
Oh yeah.
discipline of music and learning music and the passion associated with that, is that a completely separate sphere for you, or there are some parallels that you can draw between that and your professional life?
So that's such a good question, Matt. I suppose there's the recipe thing, right? Before you make the recipe and after. So now I'm kind of, so I didn't really anticipate how consuming AddMaple would be.
Right.
In the early days of AddMaple, I was managing a little bit more, and I joined a music community, and that was great because we would all make tunes and then share tunes, and that was really fun, which is where the electronic collabs came about. And
Yeah.
they're still dear friends. And then AddMaple's taken this life of its own. So at the moment, if I'm honest, I'm not doing enough music. I did set off in the beginning of the year because I went to a friend and we had a karaoke night. And these friends know me from days when I used to sing. And that was really nice. And they're like, Ange, you've got to sing. So I was like, right, New Year's goals. But honestly, um, but I sing every time I go upstairs and downstairs. Do you have this compunction with drumming, Matt, where
Oh,
there's certain,
Scott,
do you do this?
yes, I do. Constantly. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so I've paused, but my son now produces music,
oh,
and
cool.
it's not that I'm forcing him. But I'm showing him things, and he is completely besotted with making music. So this is really great because even when I'm tired, and I think, oh, I really should do something else in the evening after dinner, he will escape into our living room, and his music station is there and mine is right there. So yeah, I do get to do some music with him right now, which is such a light, and it's just lovely. And yeah, but it's not that I'm saying to him, you've got to love music, but he just happens to really he's really into it. So yeah, and whenever I get home, he's like, Mom, I've made another tune. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So he's a gift, yeah, to me.
cool. All right. Cool. All right. So back to the insight space. So much has changed since you
Yeah.
started your company just a few short years ago, right? So with your crystal ball, as you're looking forward, what does the future of insights look like from your standpoint? What do you see there?
Gosh, Matt. Yeah, I think clearly AI is a big deal. It'd be silly not to mention AI. I think AI is changing things, and I think what's going to happen is we're going to have more data than ever before, and we're going to probably rely on AI to analyze this in a kind of chat way. So I think it's going to go very much more chat interface, more data, asking questions. Um, but I suppose my fear, and yes, I'm biased because I'm coming at it from this AddMaple standpoint, but I I am both excited at the democratization of research. It is good that people will find new research methods, perhaps tweak traditional methods and adapt it. Like we've got, conversations happening with AI, moderated research. So it's a form of qual that, clearly is going to generate lots of value. I suppose the question I have is just at some point, I think we will still have to unfortunately answer the unanswered question, which is who are the people doing our research, and whether it's people or augmented or synthetic or from whatever algorithm, whatever model. I still think this, as it was unanswered maybe in 2023, when I started my journey. I still think it's a big unanswered question, and I think because it's difficult to answer, maybe there's there's less appetite to tackle it because it's a difficult one, which is why I loved Susan's piece recently about we're all in this industry together, and panel fraud, yes, it's a thing, but there's many good, there's many understandable reasons why it exists, and it's not just on the panel providers to solve it. And I think in a long answer, but some of the core problems that we've had, which is why people might be tempted to see augmented or synthetic just as a shortcut around the data quality problem. I still think as an industry, we need to come together and work out, well, who are the people in our data, and what does the data say? I don't think there's any way around it, even in a chat interface, because where's the traceability? Yeah, so that's where I see it going. I see it going very much AI led until it'll get to a point where we have even more data, Matt, even more data. And then at some point, the Matts of this world will be called in to be asked to make sense of all of this across different tools. Yeah. And for now, I think the chat way maybe is meeting its need, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this chat interface is all that we need. Maybe we don't need to see, well, absolute numbers, percentages. Maybe I'm too old school, Matt. But show me an absolute number and a percentage based off of something. I'm so happy. Show me the sample.
I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. That part, to make big decisions requires a lot of
Hmm.
confidence in the inputs, and so I don't think that's going to change. But I agree with you. I think the idea of the source of our data is the big challenge of our time right now, right? So AI is doing all kinds of things around this and within this, but the source data, especially as it's becoming so much easier and cheaper for people to conduct research, increases the demand, right?
Mhm.
So there's only more and more pressure on respondents, whatever, that looks like. So I think this is the big challenge to solve for sure. Totally agree.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
All right. So I know I see you on Pump MRX, right? So that's part of my media diet and your media diet.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious to know, and this is a much bigger, broader question, right? And I know music is part of it too, but if you think about the media that is earning your time today,
Hmm.
Ange, whether that be for insight, inspiration, even enjoyment, how are you spending
Oh,
your media time?
gosh, information. So I do love a political podcast. Let's be honest, and if I look at my, in addition to the old tunes, it's a bit of a, I do love to, a little bit of a political podcast. And in terms of insights, I, yeah, I don't really, I have so many unread newsletters. This is the truth. But now I get AI to summarize it for me and give me, I get a digest. So there are a few, and then Lenny's podcast. I don't know if you've come across Lenny's podcast, but in terms of building a startup,
Yeah,
it's because I'm having to wear this founder hat. I suppose right now it's more founder hat than yeah. So I do in terms of what do I listen to that's not political, that's not fun, that's not about books or yeah, Lenny's podcast because it helps me interpret the faster methods of building, prototyping, testing ideas with users, co-designing with inside teams. So Lenny's doing a great job. It's literally just called Lenny's podcast. I
right.
would say, yeah. And it's also a great source of AI coding knowledge because
Sure.
it's not an AI coding podcast specifically, but he would have people on either as head of engineering or CMO, but ultimately different people in different disciplines are using AI differently. So that's yeah, that's where I'm getting most of my yeah, and then politics, which I
Yeah.
shouldn't be, but yeah.
Okay, Ange. So I've seen your music. You've heard my music, right?
Brilliant.
You know what I
You
yeah, that's right. That's me. Now I am super curious. Now you dropped a couple names of what your mother was into and your early influences in music, but I've got no idea what your answer might be to this, and I'm super excited to hear it. So you know what's coming? It's my favorite question. And you're stranded on a desert island, right? You've got three records, and this can be loose because you said you didn't really grow up listening to albums, but three albums, three records, something like that, to keep you company for the rest of your days. What are they?
while I'm waiting to be rescued. So I'm imagining it's sunny because it's a sunny island. So when you ask me this question, because I can't imagine a rainy island, because this really is very sad then these tunes aren't gonna help me out. But these are sunny tunes because when you asked me the question, I thought, okay, gosh, there's lots of issues if I'm abandoned, but whenever whenever it's sunny outside and I'm driving and I'm free from whatever, I love you too. I love when the sun is out and I'm in the car, particularly when I'm not at home and I'm free. Yeah. So it has to be you too. And then
Do you
favorite
have
song.
a, do you have a particular song in mind? Just curious.
I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
love
That's
that song. I love that song. Um, and then I would say I Feel Love. Do you know it? I feel love. I feel love. It's a single.
I will look it up.
It's a single. Donna Summer. I adore this song. I adore the song. It used to be my wake-up tune, actually. And then final love song, Sweet Dreams, Annie Lennox. Totally.
Uh,
Those songs can see me through any season because your question, I imagine if I'm stranded on an island, I've got many problems. But these tunes, even through my founder journey, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
those are.
Those are like,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no.
I was gonna
You
say
go.
those are speaking to me, right? So we got you two, Donna Summer, Annie Lennox, Eurythmics. It's
Yes.
solidly Gen X, right? So that I'm right there with.
A bit of Nina Simone, you
Oh,
know,
yes.
Cinnamon. Oh, I heard a wonderful remix of Cinnamon the other day. Love, feeling good.
Yes.
Um, yeah. So I suppose my music taste is just all
Yeah.
over the shop,
Yeah.
you know?
I have at various times named a Nina Simone record as one of my Desert Island discs as well. Um, totally love that. Yeah, there's some really great choices, Ange. And here's the good news. Here's the good news. I'm going to see you in a couple of days, right, at IIEX.
Amazing.
And so we can continue this conversation in person. We can turn three into, I don't know, 10, 20. That question always seems to last a long time. Now, here's something important for you to know, and I think you already know this, but as I like to say, it's not rock and roll without merch. And so I will, of course, you know, bring your merch. Every guest on the
Oh,
podcast gets merch, right? And so I have merch for you. But
you're so
I'm
lovely.
super excited to finally meet in person, and congratulations on the even just making it as a finals. It's very exciting.
I can't believe it. And thank you for meeting with me and chatting with me, even before, letting me show you AddMaple and for being such a lovely voice and person in this industry, in this space. Susan speaks so highly of you. I just need you to know that. She really appreciates you. She speaks so highly of you, and I totally get why. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll see you in a couple of days, Ange. Rock and
See
roll.
you in a couple of days. Can't wait. See you.